观众朋友，欢迎收看《与乐漫谈》。适逢圣诞佳节的降临，合家团聚不仅是西方家庭的习俗，对于中国第一代移民和晚辈之间的相聚在一起更为普遍。定居在别州甚至别的国家的子孙，纷纷在圣诞佳节回到父母的身边，享受到亲情，其乐融融。在2023年圣诞节的前夕，和大家分享华裔女医师刘珊伍以及她的女儿凯里，为了纪念她的曾祖父伍连德医师在100年前中国的鼠疫猖獗时期发明了口罩防疫。刘珊伍有感于她的曾祖父当年面对的不仅仅是致命的鼠疫，也面临着外国医生对于中国医师的歧视和不信任，跟2000年美国的 COVID 发生时期，居住在美国的中国人也面临着 Asian hate 的歧视以及种种迫害残酷的事实，有感而发，写成了图文并茂的童书 Mask Hero。刘珊伍，麻省综合医院 Massachusetts General Hospital 急诊室的主治医师，哈佛医学院急诊医学副教授，他也是一名老年跌倒患者急诊治疗的国际专家。口罩英雄讲述一位热爱科学的华人如何在上世纪力挽狂澜的真实故事。1910年，中国东北爆发致命的鼠疫，这名华人利用自己的学识、勇气和智慧，发明了一种口罩，在短时间内迅速结束了当时的疫情，拯救了中国乃至世界各地无数人的生命。故事中的华人正是刘珊伍的曾祖父伍连德，他是瘟疫斗士，也被称为中国现代医学之父，在世界史上被认为是公共卫生的先驱。100多年前，伍连德发明的口罩就是今天的 N95 口罩的前身。他在短短几个月内成功控制了疫情，使用的方法主要就是戴口罩，保持社交距离和隔离，与100年后的新冠疫情采取的措施相同。因为对抗鼠疫的胜利，伍连德1935年获诺贝尔医学奖的提名，他是第一位获此殊荣的华裔。你们好。
我们很好，谢谢。
OK，
你好。
欢迎你们来。What inspired you to write the Mask Hero?
Oh, thank you. So we basically wrote this book because I was inspired during the COVID pandemic. At the height of it, that there was a lot of debate about whether we should wear masks or not. And my great-grandfather created the predecessor of the N95. And I felt strongly that there are lessons we can learn from Asia because they quickly pivoted to wearing masks, and we could also do that in the Western world. And particularly when Kylie, when schools were locked down, she had to write a nonfiction piece, and we decided to do it about her great-grandfather. And I think largely because of the anti-Asian hate crimes that were happening. As a mom, I wanted my children to be proud of their heritage and who they were as far as coming from Asian descent, that we really felt like we could make an impact by sharing this story and giving young children more Asian heroes that they could look up to.
What message do you hope to convey to readers through the Mask Hero?
So we had two messages mainly. One was that public health measures, particularly in things like pandemics, where masks, isolation, and quarantining can make a huge difference. But for public health measures to work, we all need to play our part and oftentimes have to sacrifice for the greater good. But that's what builds community, and that's what we do to protect ourselves and to protect others. And our second message is really that heroes come in all sizes and genders and races.
Very good. How did you create the unique and memorable characters in this book?
So I grew up knowing these stories from my grandmother and my father, and Ulanda's autobiography was in our living room. It's this really thick book that always was on our living room table. And when COVID happened, and I felt particularly close to him because as an emergency physician, I was on the front lines taking care of COVID patients and frankly, just terrified. But I felt comforted that something that my ancestor had a role in creating was something that I was wearing every day to protect myself and to protect my family and to protect others. And so I looked to the autobiography and other pieces of work published about him to learn more about him.
Yeah, you mentioned your great-grandfather. Tell us a little bit about him.
So my great-grandfather was born in Penang, Malaysia. He had come from immigrants from China and grew up studying hard, knew he always wanted to be a doctor, ended up going to England to study, and was the first person of Chinese descent to get a medical degree from the University of Cambridge. Eventually, after studying in various labs all over Europe, went back to Malaysia, but really couldn't get a job as in the medical service because he was of Chinese descent and not British descent, or European descent, I should say. And so ended up leaving Malaysia and going to China to help start a medical school there. When he was called to the north, to Harbin, where there was a plague that was emerging and no one knew what was causing it. So he ended up doing the first biopsy in China to discover that it was being spread through a respiratory method. And basically, because the mortality rate was almost 100%, started to design this face mask that really prevented the spread of disease when people coughed near each other. And he ends up ending the pandemic, or the epidemic within 4 months, and then later on becomes famous for his work in the public health service and starting basically modern medicine in China, and ends up being the first person of Chinese descent to be nominated for the Nobel Prize.
Okay, what has been the most gratifying part of this book writing and the publishing journey?
So it's been an amazing journey. I think something out of what was so difficult in terms of the pandemic, we sort of turned to this project as our passion project because we felt like we had a story to tell, and we really wanted to just share why people wear masks and where the origin of the mask came from when you wear it to protect yourself from respiratory illnesses. And so it's been amazing just to meet people throughout this whole story, not only people that we meet through the writing process, but other authors, and then just amazing people we've been meeting on the book tour that have just come up and chatted with us, and also just seeing this community develop, who really are supporting us, like family, and our friends who really have come and done so much to make this happen. So I feel like we may be the ones, telling story, but it's really been such an amazing effort on the part of like family and friends, and just a huge village that has made this happen.
The next question is for Kylie. Kylie, what was your favorite part about working with your mom on this project?
My favorite part about working with my mom on this project is probably just hanging out with her and doing the book talks together and sharing the story. And
what do you enjoy the most in school?
Hanging out with my friends.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
以上是 Mask Hero 的第一段，关于 Mask Hero 的第二段，我们将在2024年1月6号为您详细介绍。接着，请收看娱乐漫谈其他2段精彩的访谈。